Chosen one, the test you thought was your forever prison just received its termination order from heaven itself. Do not look away from this moment. You were divinely guided to this exact message at this precise time. Why has God suddenly decided to end what seemed like an eternal trial? What you're about to discover will expose why your suffering had to reach this specific breaking point before heaven could intervene. If you dismiss what's coming next, you'll miss the divine shift that's already in motion around your life. This is not another motivational message. This is a prophetic interruption designed to mark the end of your testing season. You are not here by accident. What's ahead in this message will reveal the exact moment heaven decided your trial had served its purpose. But first, here's what no one tells you about divine testing. God never ends a trial until it has produced something in you that couldn't be forged any other way. Your breaking point wasn't your failure. It was your graduation ceremony. Moment you stopped trying to escape the test and started asking what it was building in you, heaven began preparing your release papers. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to recognize when God is shutting down a season of testing and ushering you into the blessing that was being prepared while you endured. The shift isn't coming. The shift is here, and your spirit already knows it. This moment is charged with divine purpose, and what I'm about to reveal will confirm what your soul has been sensing. The trial is over. Hit the like button to declare, I'm ready to receive this divine message. It takes just a second, but helps spread this word to thousands of other chosen ones who need it right now. Comment 777. If you're declaring today as the day you step into divine abundance, favor, and breakthrough, let's come together in faith. Comment your prayer request below and reply to someone else with uplifting words. Your encouragement could be the answer to their prayer. Faith grows stronger when we stand together. Share your need, lift someone else up, and watch how God moves in all our lives. And to our cherished members, your support is a seed of love. May the Lord water it with peace, purpose, and powerful answers to prayer. You know, sometimes in this tender human journey we share, we find ourselves caught in seasons that simply refuse to yield, don't we? It's like being adrift in an unending winter, where the grey, heavy skies press down for what feels like an eternity, stretching on for months until your very soul feels chilled to the bone. Or perhaps it's more like standing lost and small in a deep, shadowed valley, its ancient walls rising high around you, casting a perpetual gloom, making you wonder with a deep ache if the warmth of the sun will ever truly caress your face again, if light will ever break through the thick canopy of leaves overhead. That heavy, drawn-out trial you've been living in, the one that whispers doubts into your quiet moments, that makes you question if relief will ever genuinely come, if this burden, this persistent weight upon your shoulders will ever truly lift. It can feel utterly consuming, can't it? It seeps into every corner of your being, coloring your days and haunting your nights, leaving you feeling worn thin, stretched to your absolute limit. The truth, though, my dear friend, is so much more profound and incredibly, breathtakingly hopeful than that persistent whisper of despair. That trial wasn't designed as a punishment, not at all, never for a moment. Its purpose was never to condemn or diminish you. No, it was actually about divine precision, a meticulous, loving, shaping by the Master's tender yet powerful hand. It was about sharpening you, like a precious, invaluable blade, being honed to an exquisite edge, or refining you, like the purest gold placed into the fiercest fire, shedding every impurity until only brilliant, unadulterated essence remains. It was about preparing you with an intensity born of the deepest, most sacrificial love for something far, far greater than your human mind can currently fathom, something beyond your current imagining. Heaven, you see, isn't casual, not even for a fleeting moment, when it comes to the intricate tapestry of your destiny, the unique, unmistakable calling etched into your very being, the sacred blueprint of your life, your purpose. Every single, delicate, vital thread of it is deeply, exquisitely intentional to God. It is a masterpiece in the making, crafted with infinite care. And that's why, when you look back with the gentle, illuminating wisdom of hindsight, it often feels like the hardest battles, the most grueling, soul-testing stretches of your journey, always seem to hit you right when you felt weakest. Right when you were convinced, with every fiber of your being, that you had reached your absolute, unyielding limit. It felt like breaking point, didn't it? But here's the breathtaking secret. The profound truth that can set your spirit soaring. That timing isn't random. It's not some cruel cosmic joke played at your expense, a twist of fate designed to break you. Oh no, it is a divine orchestration, a symphony of purpose, a profound testament to God's boundless wisdom. For He knows, better than anyone, precisely how to draw out the most extraordinary purpose from your deepest pain, how to forge something solid and substantial, something truly eternal and unshakable from your most shattered struggles. He is, quite literally, in the sacred business of spiritual alchemy, taking what feels like barren ashes and transforming them into breathtaking beauty, taking what seems broken beyond any hope of repair and making it a radiant vessel for His glory. He is the potter, and you are the clay being reshaped with such tenderness and purpose. And right now, as you stand at what feels like a significant threshold, poised delicately between the known discomfort of the past and the vast, unknown promise of the future, I need you to hear something truly important, something that might just change everything, setting your weary heart gloriously free. You did not mishear God. You did not misstep so badly that you're forever off course, irretrievably lost. And most crucially, most tenderly, you are absolutely not disqualified by what broke you. In fact, think about that for a moment. Let that profound truth settle deep, deep into the very core of your spirit, like a healing balm. The breaking itself was allowed. It was permitted with loving, divine intention, because there are certain gifts, certain deep, profound strengths, certain wells of empathy and compassion that can only truly be unlocked through that crucible process. They're the gifts that humility carves into the very core of your soul, making sacred space for grace, and the fire of adversity tempers, hardening them into an unbreakable resilience, a strength that only comes from deep purification. These are the treasures formed in the deep, sheltering dark, meant to shine brilliantly in the revealing light of your unfolding purpose. I mean, just look at Joseph. A powerful and exquisitely poignant example from Scripture, one that resonates so deeply with anyone who has ever felt overlooked, unjustly treated, or utterly abandoned. He was a young man, vibrant and full of grand, God-given dreams that painted vivid pictures of his future. Yet he was thrown into a dark, unforgiving pit by his own brothers, a betrayal that must have felt like a mortal wound, then cruelly sold into slavery, stripped of his freedom and his dignity. Later, in a foreign land, he was unjustly imprisoned. On false charges, his character maligned, his future stolen. This wasn't for a day or a week or even a year of isolated hardship. This grinding season of suffering stretched on for such a long, agonizing period, over a decade, that he must have woken up some mornings in that damp, dark dungeon, the cold, unforgiving stone pressing in on him from every side, the stench of despair heavy in the air, wondering if his vibrant, youthful dreams had simply expired, like forgotten fruit left to rot. Had God truly forgotten him? Was it all for nothing? Can you even begin to imagine the sheer weariness, the creeping, insidious despair, the endless nights of questioning, of praying, of simply waiting for a sign that never seemed to come? And yet, the very morning his spirit reached that place, of true, profound surrender, a deep, quiet acceptance of his seemingly hopeless circumstances, a release of his own timeline into God's perfect, mysterious one. That's when heaven moved. That's when Pharaoh's urgent summons came, a call from the highest seat of power, a dramatic reversal of fortune. Joseph's testing wasn't just abruptly cut short, it was ended at the exact moment destiny required him to be ready, fully formed and prepared, a vessel of wisdom, integrity, and profound compassion honed by years of adversity. It was a moment orchestrated by God's perfect, unfailing timing, not just for Joseph's personal relief and elevation, but as we now know, for the rescue of entire nations, for the preservation of a chosen people, a lineage that would eventually bring forth our Savior. Your trial too, my dear one, was timed by heaven with the same divine precision, the same loving, meticulous care. It wasn't just a cruel twist of fate or a random, meaningless circumstance. It was a divine appointment, a crucial, non-negotiable chapter in a much larger, more beautiful story, being written specifically for you by the very hand of God. Often, some of the greatest, most transformative breakthroughs in our lives happen not when we're frantically searching for every single answer, striving and pushing with all our might against every locked door, feeling exhausted and defeated. No, they often happen when we simply learn to stop, to quiet ourselves, and to begin sitting with revelation, letting God's gentle, life-giving truth settle deep into the fertile soil of our spirit, like a gentle rain soaking the parched earth. It's in that holy stillness, in that sacred pause, that the deepest truths often emerge, like a hidden spring bubbling up from deep beneath the earth, pure and refreshing. If that idea truly resonates with you, if you feel that quiet stirring in your heart, that longing for deeper understanding and a fresh outpouring of wisdom, then the 10 hidden truths of Jesus' parables is truly your next step, a powerful companion for this journey you're on. It's a short but incredibly powerful ebook that helps to open up practical, spirit-led truths that can directly impact areas like your finances, bringing clarity and provision where there was confusion, your healing journey, offering profound comfort and restoration, and even bringing amazing emotional clarity to complex situations that once felt utterly tangled. The link for it is right there in the first comment. A simple click away, a doorway to deeper understanding, but just a loving heads up, it's only available for a limited time, a window of opportunity to receive these profound insights that can truly nourish your spirit. Now let's talk about how you actually step into this release, how you take firm hold of this beautiful new season that God has so lovingly prepared for you. It's a journey, yes, an unfolding path, but it's a journey comprised of intentional steps, deliberate choices you can begin making right now, anchoring your heart in the promise of what is to come, in the glorious unfolding of His plan. The first step, and it's often a subtle one that whispers rather than shouts, is to really learn to recognize the shift. God doesn't always announce the end of a trial with booming thunder and dramatic flashes of lightning, you know. We often expect the grand spectacle, the undeniable sign. But sometimes His divine timing is far more gentle, more intimate, like the quiet turning of a page in a well-loved book, or the barely perceptible shift in the morning breeze. It's a quiet, deep knowing that starts to rise up in your spirit, an undeniable sense that the heavy weight you've been carrying, the familiar burden that has become almost a part of you, just doesn't quite fit anymore. It's like the internal weather system of your soul has undergone a profound, blessed change. Even if the external clouds haven't fully cleared from your sky, even if the world around you still looks much the same, you might feel a subtle lift in your energy, like a ray of sunshine breaking through, a decrease in the persistent hum of anxiety that used to be your constant companion, or a newfound sense of peace settling into situations that used to completely overwhelm you and steal your sleep. Remember the prophet Elijah. After that whole whirlwind season of intense spiritual warfare and dramatic displays of God's power, the fire from heaven, the defeat of the prophets of Baal, he heard God's voice not in the fierce, tearing wind that shattered rocks, not in the ground-shaking earthquake, not even in the consuming fire, but in a still, small whisper, a delicate, almost imperceptible sound that required deep listening. We often miss these divine nudges, these tender invitations to a new phase, because we're looking for the spectacular, the grand gesture. But sometimes, the greatest miracles, the most profound shifts arrive on the softest breeze, in the gentlest stirrings of our heart. Pay attention to those whispers, those gentle internal shifts within you. They are the initial sacred signs that something profound and beautiful is happening, that heaven is turning a new page for you. And just so you're ready, coming up, we'll talk about the step most people completely overlook when a season begins to shift, a crucial piece of the puzzle that often goes unnoticed. Secondly, you absolutely have to leave the old language behind. Think about it for a moment, truly ponder this. The identity you might have unconsciously picked up during your time in the wilderness, those labels you started wearing like worn-out garments. I'm stuck. I'm forgotten. I'm always fighting against something. Nothing ever works out for me. Those narratives, those worn-out phrases, those bitter stories you've told yourself and others, they have to be surrendered, released into the wind like dust. It's like clinging to old, tattered clothes, stained with the dust of the desert, clinging to them for comfort or familiarity, when God is offering you something brand new, garments of praise for a spirit of heaviness, robes of righteousness for ashes. Remember the Israelites collecting manna in the desert? It was fresh each morning, a new, miraculous provision for a new day. They couldn't hoard yesterday's manna because it would spoil, becoming a source of rot and regret, a symbol of their distrust. In the very same way, yesterday's survival talk, that language of lack and struggle and complaint, has no place in your new promised land, no resonance in your season of breakthrough. It will only weigh you down, poisoning the fresh air of your new beginning. Your words have immense creative power, my friend, a power to shape your reality. What are you speaking over your life, over your unfolding new season, over your very being? Are you still narrating the old painful story, constantly rehearsing its familiar sorrows, or are you bravely beginning to speak a new one, a narrative of hope and possibility? It's time to intentionally choose words that align with where you're going, with the glorious future God has planned, not where you've been. Start telling yourself a new story, a vibrant narrative of breakthrough, of unshakable hope, of divine purpose unfolding with grace and power, a story whispered into being by faith. Third, make sure you celebrate quietly before you ever celebrate publicly. This one is profoundly crucial, a hidden secret to sustained joy and deep spiritual grounding. The biggest, most transformative changes, the ones that truly stick and become a part of your deepest being, often begin in sacred silence, in that intimate, tender space between just you and God, not in front of an audience on social media or among well-meaning friends. It's in those private moments that your spirit gets recalibrated, aligned anew with heaven's rhythm, where gratitude can deepen and take root without external pressures, without the need for validation or applause from others. Think about Daniel in the lion's den. He was delivered, not in a grand public spectacle with crowds cheering and trumpets blaring, but first he was delivered in that quiet, dark den itself, God shutting the mouths of the hungry lions in the hidden hours of the night. A miracle witnessed only by him and the angels. His restoration to honor and public celebration came after that private, miraculous rescue, after his spirit had absorbed the profound reality of God's intimate protection and faithfulness. How do you privately celebrate? It might be through journaling your deepest gratitude, pouring out your heart on paper, letting the ink carry your praise, singing worship songs in your car until your spirit soars and your voice fills the space. Taking a quiet walk in nature and thanking God for every leaf and every breath, or simply sitting in prayer, acknowledging His unfailing faithfulness and the beauty of His ways. This kind of private praise, this secret worship, actually unlocks doors you can't even see yet, setting the stage for greater miracles to unfold, cultivating a deep well of joy that no external circumstance can diminish. Fourth, and this might be a tough one for some, stirring up resistance in the deeper corners of your heart, you need to forgive the test itself. I know that sounds strange, perhaps even illogical when the pain was so real, when the wounds felt so deep, but hear me out with an open heart. Bitterness is like a stubborn, insidious weed that grows deep, tangled roots in the soil of old trials, clinging to every past hurt and disappointment, slowly suffocating new growth. If you resent the process you went through, if you hold on to anger or disappointment about what you endured, you're essentially dragging those invisible chains, those heavy emotional burdens, right into your beautiful new season, tethering yourself to a past that God has already released you from. It's like trying to move forward into a glorious sunrise while constantly looking over your shoulder at the fading, stormy horizon, unable to fully embrace the light ahead. Forgiving. The test isn't about saying the pain wasn't real, or that what happened was okay, or that you deserved it in any way. It's profoundly about releasing the grip that experience has on your heart, acknowledging that God, in His infinite wisdom and love, allowed it for a greater purpose, a purpose that often only reveals itself fully in the gentle unfolding of time. It's a conscious choice to not let that past define your present or your precious future, to reclaim your emotional and spiritual freedom. Look at Hannah in the Bible. Her anguish over not having a child was profound, a consuming sorrow that ate at her soul year after year. Her prayer for a child was answered, yes, but only after she poured out her entire soul and completely released her anguish to God in the temple, letting go of the bitterness and heartbreak that had held her captive for so long. She surrendered her pain, and then, and only then, came the beautiful breakthrough, the joy of Samuel. Fifth, commit to obeying the new instruction, even if it seems small or utterly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. When your trial truly ends, when God ushers you into a new phase, He doesn't always issue a dramatic, earth-shattering command that makes headlines and draws attention. More often than not, He gives a new direction that might look totally unimpressive, even a little mundane or counterintuitive to your human logic. But don't be fooled, my friend, that seemingly small instruction carries within it the very seed of your next great breakthrough, the key to unlocking the next glorious chapter of your story. Naaman, the Syrian commander, almost missed his miraculous healing because he expected a grand, impressive miracle, perhaps a prophet waving his hand over him with a flourish and fireworks. Instead, he was simply told to go wash 7 times in the muddy Jordan River. He was indignant. He found the instruction beneath his dignity, too simple for his great affliction, too undramatic for his status. But it was that simple, humble act of obedience, a choice to put aside his pride and follow the instruction no matter how small or illogical it seemed, that brought his complete healing, his flesh restored like that of a young boy. We can sometimes get so caught up expecting the spectacular, the grand and dramatic, that we overlook the divine wisdom embedded in the simple, practical steps God asks us to take, the quiet nudges of the Spirit. Let me assure you, even the most insignificant feeling move, when prompted by the Spirit, when chosen in obedience, can actually shift everything in your life, opening up pathways you never imagined, leading you to places you could only dream of. Sixth, make a conscious, intentional effort to sow into where you're going, not where you've been. This period of transition, this new threshold you're crossing, is the critical moment to intentionally invest your precious time, your vibrant energy, and even your resources into the new assignment God has for you, into the future He's calling you towards. It's a profound act of faith to shift your focus from managing the past, constantly tending to old wounds and revisiting old narratives, to actively building your future with hopeful expectation. When Ruth left Moab, leaving behind her home, her family and her entire past, a past filled with loss and grief, she didn't just sit around idly, waiting for her destiny to magically find her. She immediately put her hands to gleaning in the fields, working hard, collecting the leftover grain, a humble and physically demanding task that showed her diligence and faith. It was a small, seemingly insignificant act, a choice to actively participate in her own future, but it was her proactive step, her entrance into the very lineage and destiny God had so beautifully ordained for her, leading her to Boaz and the ancestral line of King David and ultimately Jesus. What are you investing in today? Are you still pouring your precious energy into the story of your past, constantly rehearsing its details, analyzing its pains? Or are you diligently redirecting it towards learning, growing, and building in this new promising season God has gifted you with an eye towards the glorious future? Seventh, this one is absolutely vital for your mental and emotional health, for the very peace and well-being of your soul. You must guard your mind against replaying old battles, dwelling on past pain, constantly rehashing grievances, and reliving the struggle that God just ended for you is a surefire way to re-invite that struggle, that shadow, back into your present, back into your beautiful new beginning. It's like hitting rewind on a movie you've already watched and mercifully concluded, forcing yourself to relive every painful scene, every moment of torment, even though the story has already ended. Remember Lot's wife? She was literally being led out of destruction, physically rescued from a city consumed by fire and brimstone, walking towards safety and a new life. But she couldn't help but look back. And in that moment, in that longing, regretful gaze back at what was, at the life she was leaving behind, she lost her future, becoming a pillar of salt, eternally bound to yesterday, her very essence crystallized in regret. Her heart, her mind, was still in the old place, unable to let go. Your mind, my dear friend, is a powerful battlefield, a garden that needs careful, conscious tending, and you have to be intentional about what thoughts you allow to take root there, what narratives you permit to grow. When those old, familiar thoughts of hurt or fear or resentment try to creep back in, gently but firmly redirect your focus. Choose gratitude for where you are now, for the grace that has brought you this far, for the blessings that surround you, and choose hope for where you're going, for the beautiful path stretching out before you, illuminated by His presence. Eighth, begin to speak prophetically over your new season. This means so much more than just positive thinking. It's about aligning your words, your declarations with God's eternal truth and His divine purpose for you, even if your present circumstances don't yet reflect that truth. It's about calling forth what you want to see manifest in your life, not just recounting what you've survived or what currently exists in your tangible reality. Your words carry creative power, a divine echo of God's own creative spirit. David, in the midst of incredible distress and persecution, surrounded by enemies and dire circumstances that threatened to consume him, declared with unwavering conviction, "I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living," even when his present circumstances looked absolutely dire and stubbornly unchanged. even when all human evidence pointed to despair. He wasn't just observing reality, he was bravely declaring God's truth over his reality, speaking life into a seemingly lifeless situation, commanding a new future into existence. What do you want your new season to look like, to feel like, to manifest as? Start speaking life, peace, abundance, and profound purpose into it. Declare God's promises over yourself daily, letting them become the very atmosphere you breathe, shaping your perception and pulling your future into your present, drawing heaven's reality down to earth. Ninth, it's time to align your community. This can be a challenging but profoundly necessary step, one that requires courage and deep discernment. Your release into this new season may require you to create some distance, lovingly but firmly, from voices that are still stuck, still living, and still complaining in the wilderness of their own pasts. Not everyone who started the journey with you is meant to make the crossing into your promised land, and that is not a judgment, but a reality of spiritual progression. Moses, despite his incredible leadership, couldn't bring every single person who left Egypt into the promised land. Some of them simply couldn't make the spiritual crossing due to their unbelief, their negativity, their constant complaining, and their inability to let go of the past and embrace God's new thing. Similarly, some voices, some relationships, even if they're well-meaning and deeply cherished, might be inadvertently pulling you back into old patterns of thought, familiar cycles of self-pity, or limiting beliefs that belong to a season that is now over for you. It's not about being judgmental, but about wisely protecting the new space God is creating for you, safeguarding your anointing, your peace, and your forward momentum. Seek out those who believe in your future, who cheer you on with genuine enthusiasm, who uplift your spirit, and who walk with you in faith, speaking life and encouragement into your spirit, reflecting God's hope back to you. 10th, and this is a deep one that often requires quiet introspection and brave honesty. Ask God to reveal the final lesson of your trial. What did you receive here, in this hard place, in this crucible of fire, that you absolutely couldn't have found anywhere else in any other way? What unique strength, what profound wisdom, what deep, tender empathy, or what unparalleled skill was forged in you because of this experience, because you walked through that fire. Like Jacob, after wrestling with God all night until the break of dawn, you might indeed leave this season with a limp, a visible scar, or a lingering memory of the struggle that forever marks you, a physical or emotional reminder. But you also leave with a new name, a transformed identity, a deeper intimacy with God, and a blessing you didn't even know how to ask for, a favor that transcends your wildest expectations. The limp isn't a sign of weakness. It's a living testimony to the encounter, a powerful reminder of how God met you there in your darkest hour, how He held you, how He changed you. And here's where the unexpected, truly freeing truth comes in, a revelation that can unlock even more. Sometimes, what's actually blocking your full, joyful entry into blessing is the subtle, often unconscious belief that you still have to earn your freedom, that you haven't suffered enough, or done enough, or proven yourself worthy. But God's decree is sovereign and final. When He ends a test, when He says it is finished for this season of your life, no one, not even you, can rescind that order. You don't have to keep striving. You don't have to keep proving yourself. You just have to open your heart and receive His boundless, unconditional grace, His lavish love, His finished work. 11th, and this is the very essence of living a life of profound faith. Step forward even while uncertain. Faith isn't about waiting for total clarity, for every single detail to be perfectly laid out like a detailed map before you, with every turn and destination clearly marked. If you wait for all the guarantees, for every possible outcome to be known and secured, for every shadow of doubt to dissipate, you might never move at all, paralyzed by the overwhelming need for certainty. True faith is about moving forward. When the cloud lifts, when you feel that gentle nudge of the Spirit, even if you can't see past the immediate horizon, even if the path directly ahead is still shrouded in a beautiful divine mist, revealing itself only one step at a time. Think of Abraham, our father of faith. He journeyed without a detailed map, without a clear itinerary, simply following God's voice, leaving everything familiar and comfortable behind, stepping into the great unknown with nothing but a promise. And every single step he took, every act of forward motion, every choice born of trust was counted as righteousness, as a profound act of belief in the unseen. What if you stopped demanding guarantees from God or from life, and instead started simply thanking Him for the next breath in your lungs, for the next opportunity that appears, for the next open door, no matter how small or insignificant it seems? That simple gratitude for the present moment, combined with a willingness to move, to take that next step, is often all God asks for, and it is more than enough to activate His power. Finally, receive your release, not as an achievement of your own self-reliance or your own sheer willpower, not as a badge you earned through relentless struggle, but as a profound act of trust in God's unfailing faithfulness, His unwavering love for you, a love that never lets go. Understand that the end of this particular test, this specific season of trial, is not the end of your purpose. Far from it. It's the powerful, undeniable proof that God is indeed actively writing the final chapter of your story. And it's a chapter filled with hope, with unexpected joy, and with a future more abundant, more beautiful, and more impactful than you dared to dream. A future bursting with His glory. Tonight, before you close your eyes and drift into sleep, I want to encourage you to say this prayer out loud, letting the words resonate from your lips and truly settle deep into your spirit, vibrating with truth. Let them become a living declaration, a powerful statement of faith. I release all fear. I release all doubt. I step into my divine purpose, and I trust that my miracle is already on its way. If this message, this word, spoke to your spirit in a deep and personal way, stirring something profound within you, please make sure to share it with someone you know, with a friend, a family member, a colleague. You never know who else is desperately needing to hear this message of hope, this invitation to freedom, this divine permission to step into their own breakthrough. Let someone else step free and into their destiny because you said yes to courage and shared this powerful message. Because this isn't just about your freedom, precious one. It's about the beautiful ripple effect, about the generations coming after you, whose lives can be impacted and forever changed by your willingness to walk confidently in your breakthrough, radiating the light of God's faithfulness, a living testimony to His goodness.